Alright, so I'll be going over a trade I took on Friday, May 3rd, 2024. Okay, so starting off from the weekly time frame, number one, the market is inside of this weekly imbalance. Okay, if you go down to the the daily time frame, obviously, as you guys all know, gold is at all-time highs, right? So you should be looking for intraday plays, nothing too long term. So on the daily time frame, the market is within this liquidity block, which isn't too nice of a liquidity block only because there is liquidity below here, right? But you can still expect some reactions from it. You just have to go according to whatever the market tells you, okay? So on the 4-hour time frame, as you can see, let me just take this off. Okay, so on the 4-hour time frame, as you can see, the market respected this area, right? Started moving to the upside, took out liquidity, and then moved lower. Okay, so let me go on the 1 hour and mark it out. Took this out, and then had to move down lower. Okay, so after that, what the market did was, well, essentially what you see is this right here being your inducement low. Okay, so what you see after the sell-off that occurred, right? So the market comes for this liquidity at the highs and then sells off. What you see here is, number one, the market comes towards this inducement low and respects it. Okay, so the market shoots up from there, and if you go to the 15-minute time frame, on the 15-minute, what you see is the market moved to the highs, right? Respect this whole area. Let me mark it out. So the market respected this entire area, right? Or this POI or whatever people use. Okay, so the market respects that area, moves lower, okay? And then what happens is, as soon as it had this move to the downside, you can say it also took out this wick right here, just about, and then moves to the upside. The market respects this high, okay? So after having that move down, right, inducing sellers, the market came back and respected the high. So what does that mean? Respecting that high after inducing sellers, well, it just builds liquidity, okay? So liquidity was built, and let's just put a dollar sign over here. Okay, so liquidity was built at the high, and then the market moves lower, coming to these lows, and let's go to the 1 hour real quick. Okay, so the market comes to these lows, right, respects the low, building more liquidity to the downside now, right? So if you go to the 15, the market builds liquidity over here and then comes lower, builds liquidity right above the inducement low from the left. All right, so let me just put the dollar sign over here now. Okay, so when the market respects this low, it builds that liquidity, and it also moves to the upside, right? Respecting that low, moves to the upside, and has this BOS to the upside. Okay, so inducing more buyers into the market. So what happens? It induces buyers, and as you can see, buyers end up getting trapped. Okay, so obviously this is no trade zone for us, right? We have to wait for liquidity to be taken, and as you can see, the market comes, sweeps all that liquidity, and also takes out that inducement low from the left. All right, so the market sweeps all that liquidity, goes into that inducement low from the left. On the 15-minute time frame, this is a little cheeky, but liquidity block. All right, so after the market takes that liquidity and starts moving to the upside, If you go to the 1 minute time frame, just go over here. Let me just use replay. To right here. Okay. So if you go to the 1 minute time frame, what you see is the market moved to the highs, right? Actually, let's go to the 5 real quick. Just want to explain another thing. Forgot to say. Okay, so before this was taken out, right, before the lows were swept and sweeping that inducement low from the left, you can see the market pulled back, right? So had this created this higher high, pulled back for that higher low, and then finally pushed up, respecting these highs over here again. Okay, so what the market is essentially doing is just building liquidity on both sides of the market. Okay, so as you can see, let's just grab it from here to here. Okay, so the market respects this area, right? Building more liquidity here. Okay, so after the market comes back and sweeps all that liquidity from the downside, there's a ton of liquidity to the upside. Okay, so since there's a ton of liquidity to the upside, right, automatically your eyes should be drawn over here. Let's use this tool right here. So automatically your eyes should be drawn to this magnet tool right here. I mean this magnet icon right here. Okay? Alright, so what do you guys see? On the 1 minute time frame, the market pushes up after sweeping that liquidity on the 1 minute. Let me just drag this line over. So that liquidity was taken. This is also a little cheeky. Liquidity block right here. Boom, takes out this low. Right? I personally do not like entering from the extreme, so I wouldn't be taking trades over here. So when the market moved to the upside and respected this high over here, what does that tell me? Respecting the high tells me liquidity is being engineered to the upside. Okay, so the market engineers that liquidity to the upside again. Okay, and then pulls back, and as you can see, right, the higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, right, higher high. So buyers get trapped over here. All right, and another thing, the market comes back right into this low, and you see some false reactions, right? You see a slowdown, you see the market stall there, so it's building liquidity below here. Okay, so what the market does is come for that liquidity and come lower and tap into this liquidity block. All right, so blue. This is where I entered, right at the liquidity block. Keeping my stops below that low, right, because it is a liquidity block. And I targeted the highs, these highs over here, basically where all that liquidity was sitting, right, where I put that magnet icon. All right, so another thing, if the market came lower and came below this liquidity block, is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. It could, right? It could come below that liquidity block. So if you are taking trades from this liquidity block at the extreme, it's completely valid, fits the system, but you have to understand that because it could be a inducement low, it could low-key come for that and then have the move, right? So I liked it because of the trap that happened over here. Okay, so the high taken, and then the low taken, right? Coming into this low right here, the market stalls a little bit, right? Prints these highs, building more liquidity to the upside, and it comes lower, right? So this, I entered from this liquidity block, kept my stops below the low, and targeted the highs on the 1 hour time frame. Yeah, so all these highs. Okay. And obviously it was taken on a Friday, so I had to hold a position throughout the weekend. And what you see is obviously the market moves up, right? Grabs this high, but leaves, but doesn't grab this high over here, right? So where sellers were actually induced, right? From where the sellers were induced from. All it does is have a pullback. This is a Sunday during Asia, so I'm not sure anyone will be trading at this time. But the market does the same thing, right? So it moves higher, takes out this high over here. Okay, respects that high to the left. So all it's doing is just building more liquidity, right? So it takes out this low, trapping buyers, and then moves to the upside. Comes into here. Right now it's building that liquidity to the downside, and finally shoots up to the highs. Okay, and I believe this happened on Monday. Full target was hit on Monday. I took partials. I believe. Okay, let's go to 15. Yes. So I took partials at this high, right? Because I seen it come close to. Sorry, I seen it come close to this high right here. Right here. So when the market came into this area over here, I took off 50% and let the rest run to my target, which was right here. Or I believe it took 70, I'm not sure. But I took partials here because it was Sunday around 11:15 for me, or 10:15 for me. So since it was around like 10:15 for me, I was gonna go to sleep soon. So I took some partials just in case the trade hit TP during London and pulls back, right? So for that reason, I took some partials so I can be happy going to sleep, right? I can sleep in peace. And then obviously market comes for my full target during New York. So yeah, this is the end of